And then it came down to just one game. A winner-take-all between the New York Mets and the Milwaukee Brewers. And before we get to this winner-take-all game, you always have to figure out why the hell we're here. And there's a lot of reasons why the New York Mets decided to kick us in the groin late last night. A lot of things contributed to one of the worst losses you'll see. We could get on the manager. We could get on his decisions with the bullpen. We could get on Maitan staying in the game, taking Manaea out, everything you want to get into. But to me, sometimes things are very, very simple. And this is related to tonight. The New York Mets needed to take advantage of the opportunities that were in front of them offensively early in this game. 3 runs never was going to be enough. So for anyone out there that wants to accuse me, little old me, of holding the water for a certain slugger, of being the errand boy for a certain slugger, for growing his beard out in hopes that a certain slugger will get paid, I will make things crystal clear right now at 2:03 on a Thursday afternoon. Pete Alonso, wake up. Pete Alonso, we need you. Pete Alonso bouncing into a double play and tripping over your bat in the first inning cannot happen again. Pete Alonso coming up with a runner on second base and 2 outs in the 5th inning while nursing a 3-1 lead. You cannot strike out to Tyler McGill's inferior brother. Can't happen. So, Pete Alonso, this is your time, big boy.
I thought you were going to go anti-Pete Alonso. That was still very positive, Pete Alonso. That wasn't the hate that Pete Alonso probably should be getting from Met fans.
Well, before you continue,
that is Tyler McGill's older
Doesn't
brother.
matter. Inferior. Before Tiki continues, he just said something.
Go ahead.
The hate that Pete Alonso's getting from the fan base. You mean something like, I don't know, this?
I don't even call him Pete anymore. I call him number 20 because he doesn't even deserve to get called by his name. He's a bum.
Listen, here's
that.
Here's the reality. Pete Alonso hasn't performed, okay? No one's denying that.
Well, they're not going to love you unless you perform.
But
that's what it comes down to.
But, Tiki, they need him tonight.
Of course.
So we can bash him all day.
They needed him all year.
Well, not really, because look at the position they're in. They're in a playoff winner-take-all game. They've been able to overcome Pete's inability to get the big hit most of the season. Now they need him.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. But it's funny. You've been saying this because every time you do this, going back a month, I just look at you cross-eyed and just say, what is that going to do?
What's what going to do?
It's imploring Pete to be better. What is that going to do? Nothing.
Nothing we say is going to do anything. We're losers. We're sitting on the radio, calling sports talk radio, tweeting on social media. We control nothing. It doesn't mean we aren't going to say something.
I know, but it's just I feel like I've heard this so many times.
You have?
Pete Alonso has to do X,
Yes.
or Nimmo has to do Y,
Yes.
or Jeff McNeil, even though he's no longer a part of the team right now because of injury, needs to do Z.
Yes.
It's they need to, but they're not. And
So what does that mean? It can't happen? Are you declaring Pete Alonso cannot have that big day?
I just feel like, as much as I hate to admit it, Sean might be right.
About what?
About winning game 1, blowing game 2, and meekly limping away in game 3.
Is that your official prediction?
That's not my official prediction. My official prediction was that they were going to win 1, lose 2, and find a way to win it in 3 because they're gritty.
Right.
I like this team. They're gritty. They find ways. Francisco Lindor or whoever has to be the hero sometimes just is the hero and critical. It's happened all season long. Whenever they've needed it, they've gotten it. But it's not from Pete Alonso.
But it has to be now.
Why?
Why? Because
why do you believe that? I think that's more of my question.
Okay.
Why
I'll
do you
ask you.
believe that
I'll
this is
answer
going
that.
to happen when for the last month at least, probably longer than that, it's been Pete's got to do this. Yeah, Nimmo's got to do this. And the only one that does it, and I think I said this, it's Francisco Lindor. He's the one that comes through.
Oh, Brandon Nimmo started to wake up. Brandon Nimmo got a big base hit in the first inning yesterday.
Yeah, but they didn't win this game yesterday.
I understand they didn't win the game.
I'm talking about being hero. I'm not talking about playing well. I'm talking about like being the guy that wins the game for you, or making the play that catalyzes the win for the yesterday. Jose Iglesias was that in game 1. Who is going to be that consistently?
Pete
for this
Alonso
team?
needs to step up and be that guy.
He's not.
And you think he can? Is that what you want to tell me?
I don't know.
Okay. I'm going to tell you why he can. Because you asked me, and I'll give you the answer.
But I can't sit here and say Pete Alonso is going to come through because he just hasn't done
first of all, I'm not predicting anything. I'm telling you what he needs to do.
Yes.
Because if Or what? Have you not heard the Met fan base burn him from the stake, essentially?
And then will you jump off the Pete Alonso bandwagon?
What does that mean?
I don't know. Start throwing hate. Pete Alonso, you're a bum.
Well, no, I'm criticizing him.
Pete Alonso, I don't want you next year. Is that what's next?
I'm not worried about next year. I'm worried about tonight. And tonight they need Pete Alonso.
What if tonight doesn't happen?
Well, you're asking me a hypothetical.
Of course I am.
I thought you don't like hypotheticals.
You're throwing hypotheticals that Pete Alonso needs to do X, Y, and Z.
That's not a hypothetical.
Yes,
That's a demand. That's a need.
Okay, then what happens if he doesn't meet the demand that you're laying out?
They're probably going to lose tonight.
Okay, then what?
And
then what? Then you're done with Pete Alonso?
Then I do an angry Rico Bronya.
And you're done with Pete Alonso?
I didn't say that. I think
I'm just wondering why he won't go all in.
What do you want me to say?
Go all in.
That I'm going to get rid of him?
I'm good with Pete.
Because it's a convoluted question that it's not worthy of a simple answer of if Pete goes over 4, he can't be on this team next year. That's a stupid opinion.
Don't demand excellence from him.
No, I'm demanding excellence because if he doesn't perform it, this team's going to lose. And I've said that to you all year. They will eventually get short-circuited if Pete Alonso doesn't step up. He hasn't had an extra base hit in a month. His defense continues to be great. I will put him over for that. He saved Lindor on 2 errors last night.
Right.
But Pete Alonso needs to step up. He needs to be a big boy. Last night, when he came up with first and third, 1 out in the first inning, he had a chance to end this series. Let's be blunt about it. Pete Alonso had a chance to end that series last night, and everyone's making a big deal over him tripping off the bat. Honestly, I think it was going to be a double play either way. It was a hard-hit ground ball to shortstop. It was over. But I think the imagery of him tripping on his bat looked awful.
Yeah.
So what I'm telling you is I don't want to hear about the offseason. We can't have him back. He sucks. You know what? We'll have that discussion when the season's over. But for tonight, to win a winner-take-all Game 3, with all hands on deck, they need this man to step up. And I want to answer your question. You said, why do you believe that? Because I am so sick and tired of this false narrative that Pete's never gotten a big hit. It's never happened. It's a lie. Because 2 years ago when the Mets were in the postseason and they won their one solitary postseason game against the San Diego Padres, who hit the game-winning home run in that game in the bottom of the 5th inning? Nobody knows. Nobody remembers. So I'll just tell you, Pete Alonso. He's capable of it. Pete Alonso's had big moments as a Met, okay? Has he done well enough this year? No. Has he lost a lot of money this year? Absolutely. Has he been awful over the last 4 weeks? Yes. Yeah. I'm not disputing that. But I'm also not tapping out and saying he can't perform today. He can't get a big hit today. I'm just saying they need him.
Yeah, you're just believing that it's going to happen, and I just don't think that there is ample proof this year. Forget against San Diego in 2022, this year, that he's going to do that.
So if you believe that, Tiki, what are you going to do about it? You want to sit him? Want to bury him in the lineup? What do you want to do?
No.
If you don't believe he can perform,
I'm going to put my faith elsewhere. If I'm a Met fan, that's what you do. You're not sitting there waiting for Pete Alonso to be your hero. If he surprises you, fantastic, great, whatever. But he hasn't done it consistently enough. It's been other people. It's been Francisco Lindor, the true captain of this team. It's been
who has 0 hits in this series.
Right,
by the way.
Great, whatever. He got you here.
I get you. I'm just giving a fact. Don't attack me for facts.
He got you here. I'm not worried about this series.
Okay.
I'm talking about the big body of work for 2024. And Francisco Lindor undeniably has been the biggest piece for this Mets team.
Totally agree.
It's not even a question.
Doesn't change the fact he has 0 hits in this series.
Okay.
I mean, that's not an attack. That's a fact. But keep going.
It's not him against anybody else. It's just he's shown up when you needed him.
Yes.
Pete Alonso has not.
Yeah. And that's why they need him tonight. Because if the Mets' journey is going to continue on, and so far it's gotten to this point, Game 3 of the wild card series, if it is going to get to the ultimate destination at some point, maybe it's tonight, maybe it's next week, they need Pete to be Pete. And he hasn't been that guy all year long. Don't give me the numbers. Anyone who's watched him this year knows he has not been impactful. They need him to be impactful. Everyone else you mentioned, Tiki, has stepped up at different moments. Mark Vientos stepped up in game one. Jose Iglesias has stepped up all year. Francisco Lindor, you said it eloquently. He's the MVP of this team. He stepped up. Even J.D. Martinez, as much as we hate the guy, got a huge hit in game one. Jesse Winker has stepped up. Francisco Alvarez had a big RBI single in the second inning of this game. It is now Pete Alonso's time. And I'm not going to bore you with fake declarations on his future because it's irrelevant. Okay, free agency is going to be determined by a lot of other factors besides what he does in a game 3. So I'm not going to tell you he can't be on the team if he goes 0 for 4 or give him a 10-year contract if he goes 4 for 4. I'm talking about the here and now. This guy's been a Met since 2019. He has performed in big moments before. He is one of the most reliable sluggers in baseball, and they need his doofy ass tonight if they're going to survive this season. That's all I'm saying, and I'm begging him. Pete, if you're listening, this is your moment. Enough. They need him. Now, I commend him. As bad as he's been offensively, he's clearly not taking it out with him into the field. And that's great. He made a diving play in the Atlanta game where Edwin Diaz had a brain fart. He made 2 great scoops yesterday, saving Lindor from errors. I'm not saying that's enough. I'm explaining that, hey, fairly to him, he's not taking his awful offense out into his defense. Right. And I appreciate that. But they need him. He's capable of it.
That's obvious.
He's done it before.
That's obvious.
And they need him, Tiki.
It's obvious. I mean, you're just stating the absolute obvious, especially if they want to win this series, but even go deeper. It's you need your best players playing like their best, and he just hasn't been that a lot of this season.
So would you drop him in the order?
No. I mean, and do what? That's the problem with dropping him in the order. Who you throwing there?
Jesse Winker.
But okay,
Tiki,
that's the problem.
No, I agree with you.
The options aren't vast. It's not like, oh, we got this guy just waiting. He's just waiting for his opportunity to be in the 5-hole or higher or whatever it may be. You just don't.
No, and I agree with you, and I want to go back to A-Rod, and I want to go back to Joe Torre, because that's the greatest example ever of dropping a guy in the order. Pete Alonso's a mess right now, and I was reading emails last night on the Rico right after the game, would you drop him in the order? And my answer at that moment, after the game emotionally, was whatever, fine, drop him in the order, who cares?
Right.
Well, I gave it some thought. It's stupid to drop him in the order, and I'll tell you exactly
because you're
why.
not replacing him with someone better.
That's not even it, but I understand that point. Right. Like, oh, what's the difference if you're putting Starling Marte or Jesse Winker up there? Well, the difference is Jesse Winker's got this knack for big moments, and Starling Marte last night got on base 4 times. But here's the reason why I think it's a terrible idea. And Yankee fans, you feel this. Sean, you feel this. When I sat down that day in 2006, and yes, I was scoring the game, and I saw Alex Rodriguez batting 8th, I thought about it, and I said, what's the point of this? Like, what does this really do? And the truth is, all it did was embarrass a proud player.
Yep.
That's all it did.
Yeah.
It was naive to think, and I know Pete's not A-Rod. I want to make that very clear on a lot of levels. But all you're doing to a proud player by hitting him that spot in the order for the first time in his career is embarrassing him. Let's get some facts out of the way on Pete Alonso.
Good point.
He has batted 6th only one time year-wise in his career. It was all the way back in 2020. In that shortened season. Since then, 21, 22, 23, 24, he has never hit below 5th in the order, which is what he's hitting right now. Met fans, dropping him to 6 or 7 or 8 because we're angry at him serves no purpose other than embarrassing him on a national stage. And what does that do? Because at the end of the day, we need him. We can all agree on that. Tiki's right.
Yeah.
It's obvious that they need him. What I'm telling you is obvious. But dropping him in the order only gives you the blood that some of you bloodthirsty Met fans want. It doesn't solve anything, just like dropping A-Rod to 8 solved nothing.
No, you're right about that. And Pete Alonso, I mean, here's the thing. Pete knows that he has to be better. He knows that he has to step up and be clutch because that's what he's on this team for. It's what he's been for the majority of his career. And it hasn't happened this year. And as an athlete, it's hard to go through like this part of the season and know that you're not at your best. And I think what makes it even harder for Pete is he likely doesn't know why he's not at his best. It's not like he's done anything different. It's not like his approach has been different. Maybe it has. I don't think it has. The results just aren't there. And sometimes when the results aren't there, you start doing things just to try to change it up. Think about all you golfers out there, all of us amateur crappy terrible golfers. For, I don't know, a month, you're striping it. And then all of a sudden you lose it. And you're like, wait, what am I doing differently? Let me try this. It just makes it worse. And so Pete's likely in that stage of his frustrations with himself. I don't know how to fix it, and so I'm going to try everything just to make it right. And that is the worst thing that you can do.
When we come back, we're going to get to your calls on Pete, on the Mets, their chances in Game 3. And I want you to hear from Pete Alonso, because Tiki's very good at this. You hear a guy speak, and maybe you can tell a lot more about what they're thinking. So we'll hear from Pete Alonso when we come back, plus your calls. It comes down to this, Met fans, one game. Are they going to the divisional series to take on the Philadelphia Phillies, or are we going to forever think about how they blew an opportunity in Game 2 with a lead in the 8th inning? 888-808-1019.